So this is our presentation for World Wonders Day for Scotland, and our kids would be introduced to Scotland through this walk from Holyrood Palace down to Edinburgh Castle. So it would start up here at Holyrood Palace, where they would learn that this was the Queen's official residence. It has an old church that's in ruins and a little bit more information about that. And then, so students will be able to recognize that the palace has a history to it, and we'll give them a little bit of information about that. And then how it's used today, and an example is the Queen reviewing the Scottish Guard. On to Scottish Storytime. This is the Scottish Storytelling Center, where they had a lot of great resources for us. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and go into where they are in Scotland, explaining Edinburgh and the fact that they'll meet Loch Ness. This is the Highlands, or Highlands, I should say. And the fact that we'll be staying in town right now. There are Highland cows up here because those are some of the stories that they will be dealing with. One story is Nessie, another Harry the Highlander, and Katie in Scotland. I will put all three of these links in with my link to this video. So, in returning, I'm going to go ahead and go forward. Again, each one of these stories will be shared throughout the day on our World Wonders Day. And then they'll move on to Piper's Corner. We have a presenter coming in on our day, so our harp player, Jen, will work with our kids to understand a little bit more about piping. They'll be able to see the picture and also use the YouTube link, which I'll include, to see a sample of that piping. They're going to see a little bit more piping later on when they get up to the castle, so I didn't want to make it too big of a deal. Then we want to bring in the idea of the closes of Edinburgh and what they stood for, and how people use those as kind of tunnels to get up to the main street, and to have servants use them to go in the back. So we'll talk about the fact that you can go in there and see historical tours about what life was like in Edinburgh years ago. And also that they use the different closes for current events, like this close being used for owl conservation. So you were able to hold the owl if you gave a donation to basically the OWL ASPCA of Scotland. The last piece will bring us to the Scottish Memorial. Edinburgh Castle, where they will be able to look at the various parts of the castle, including the main keep, the large cannon called Meg's Mons, the war memorial or military memorial. This is kind of like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and our school's pretty close to that, so they tend to know what that is. And from here, showing them a little bit of that military spirit and tradition with Highland games, which they are going to participate in. So it would be something reasonable for them to expect to understand. They can see it. They're going to do their own mini version of that. And this link to see part of the Grand Military Tattoo that's every August. That also is something that they're going to hear bagpipers at. So our kids are going to enjoy learning about each part of the castle. This is the main chapel with the key to the kingdom and the key to the castle for the queen. This is all the different tags show how many times she's been given that same key. And St. Andrew in the window. So our kids spend the day kind of rotating from center to center, and this presentation that's kind of interactive that they can go back and forth to will allow them to go back to the storytelling center, learn different things about the Highlands and the Highland games and the Highland cows, which I feel like I just said a lot, and the Loch Ness Monster. They'll make a craft to go with the Loch Ness Monster, and they'll make a crown for when they visit the palace, and they learn a little bit about that. So we don't have a ton of time for each thing in this particular presentation. However, it will be used as the anchor throughout the day so that we can explain each thing that they're learning about throughout the day.